Hi everyone, today's video is going to be a review of the TUI Sensatori in Ibiza. We have just got back from a week there and I've never had so many questions about the hotel, the accommodation, the food, so I thought it would be a good idea to kind of put this review video together. I'm going to be talking you through everything from the service, the food, the amenities and all things for the kids. I'll give you a little bit of a background of why we chose to go to the TUI Sensatori. We were due to be getting married in Ibiza this summer, but it was obviously postponed due to COVID. We had planned for our guests and us to stay at the TUI Sensatori resort in Ibiza. We had already most of us booked on, and then obviously it was cancelled, so we had to cancel the whole booking and then hope to rebook for next year. However, it was taken off the TUI website and it was all a little bit up in the air. We then thought we may as well go this year while we can. The travel restrictions were lifted, so we decided to go and stay at the hotel just in case TUI relisted it, and then we could let our guests know what we thought of the hotel. So we went out there this year for 7 days this summer. And while we was out there, the TUI Sensatori hotel actually got relisted and it was downgraded to a TUI Blue hotel. So I think that is just something to bear in mind when booking. I do think that when we were there, although we paid for 5-star prices, I don't think we received a 5-star hotel treatment. However, you have to bear in mind that when I'm talking about all these things, they had just reopened after lockdown themselves. They were short-staffed, and I think it's really hard to really criticize a company when they're understaffed due to a pandemic. I think that's just something to bear in mind. There is a lot of negative reviews on this hotel online, and I think most of them are pretty harsh. And what I'll always say is people tend to go onto TripAdvisor to leave a negative comment. However, if they've had the best time ever, they're probably not going to go onto TripAdvisor and let everybody know that they've had the best time ever. It's quite rare, I think, for people to do that. People, I think, just love to moan. So I will tell you our pros and cons. I filmed around the whole resort, so I'm going to be showing that to you. I got up on the last day at 6:30 to film the resort empty, but I'll be going through lots of things that I think should be improved, tips to give you, and just our experience there. If you want to see the vlog of while we were there, we spent most of the days in the hotel, just because I feel like when you go all-inclusive, it seems a bit of a waste to venture off too much. So that's why we kind of have a love-hate relationship with all-inclusive ourselves. So to start with, the check-in was really slow. So you all arrive off the plane, obviously because it's with TUI, so you all fly with TUI, and then you all arrive at the hotel at the same time. Having children, took us a while to get off the bus. We wasn't at the end, but you know, we were not at the front. So I think it took us about 40 to 45 minutes. So bear that in mind. Maybe get some snacks when you get off the plane. Have their iPad ready so that the kids can like chill in the lobby. Alfie was getting a little bit restless at this time. We had a night flight, so it was quite late. He had hurt himself. So yeah, they did give us a leaflet for us to scan and do self-check-in, but you'd still have to wait in the queue. I think it was supposed to just speed things up, but the self-check-in didn't work. We just couldn't scan it, and a lot of other people was unable to scan it, so it was a bit of a fail. So just bear that in mind. Checking in is quite a long time. I'd also suggest, if you could, get in a taxi and not get in the coach, because then you get there before, it's like 25 euros, but then you get there before the whole coach load and you can just check in and go. It also took a very long time for our luggage to arrive in our bedroom. We had to take Alfie off to the hospital that night. As we arrived, he'd hurt his arm, so we were like, we had to keep calling, asking for our bags. So that's something just to bear in mind. They do leave out some food, in the cold food in the restaurant for you. Bread, salad, cheeses, that's pretty much it. And then you get like the drinks at the pump, but there's not a bar open. So I would definitely grab some refreshments at the airport if you can. There's no kind of drink machines around the hotel, so you can't just go get a drink. We didn't know, but you could have gone to the Sunset Bar, which is next door, and you could have popped in there and got a drink to take back to your room, but we didn't realise that till a few days later. One really disappointing thing was for a few days in, I think it was until day 4, there was no TUI rep on site. We had been away to an Egypt one. It wasn't TUI, it was the other one, Thomas Cook. And when you arrive, you're greeted by the rep, and they kind of talk about all the excursions you can go on, extra things you can book, clubs that are going on at the hotel, things that are going on, what time to get up and book in for restaurants. And there was kind of someone there to tell you everything you needed to know. That did not happen, and there was no TUI rep on site. We realised on like day 4 or 5 when we were trying to get a taxi, there is a TUI person, but they're sat at their desk. You have to go and see them, which I thought is quite disappointing, because I think if you book with TUI, and I don't know if this was just because of everything that was happening with lockdown, I don't know if they normally would greet you and like give you the lowdown, but we didn't get that, and I think that's a real shame. The hotel does have an app, which again, we didn't know. Other people in the resort had told us about this app. They have 2 apps. They have a website, and then you can download the TUI app, which then tells you what clubs are on and what events are going on in the evening. However, while we were there, the app was not very accurate. So one night it said that there was a disco on, and we told Pollyanna, we all went down there. There was loads of people waiting for this disco. And then the bar staff let us know that the disco wasn't on. So we had, I think it was due to COVID, there was no discos at all. Towards the end of the week, they started having like live music, and again, I think that is due to lockdown. Like they wasn't allowed loud music, or they wasn't allowed a dance floor, I think. Entertainment wise, it wasn't the best. Pollyanna made the most of it. They had a few silent discos. So the app was really unreliable. There was a few like events that the app said was going on, and then we would turn up and they wasn't on. And again, I just don't know if this is down to COVID, but just don't go by the app. Kind of ask around, ask the staff if you can. What I loved about the hotel for us going with wedding guests is the kids club looked fantastic. The app does tell you different things that the kids will be getting up to on the day, but we were actually told that they didn't do those activities. I think one of them said like they'll go on a woodland adventure and like a trail around the hotel, but there was a few times when parents had taken the kids there and those activities weren't actually going on. However, the kids club, all the kids that we were with loved going. They were doing paintings on the last day. Pollyanna actually asked, she was like, how come I haven't been able to go? And at the time, we just didn't feel the need for her to go. But I think, like looking back, I think she would have actually loved it. So there's lots of different ages. You get, I think, an hour a day. You have to book your slot on the app. You can't just turn up and put them in. So make sure you're aware of that and plan on the day. You can only do it the day before as well. So you can't like pre-book them in to go into kids club. But yeah, all of the kids that we spoke to loved the kids club. In regards to masks, which a lot of questions were asked about, you do not have to wear a mask around the resort. We went in June 2021 and no masks had to be worn around the resort. The only time you would have to wear a mask is if you were going up to the bar, and that includes the outside bar by the pool, or if you were walking into a restaurant, you would have to put your mask on, but then you could take it off when you sat down. So kind of similar to here in the UK, but you didn't need it if you was walking around by the pool, or if you were, I don't know, just walking around the hotel resort. For me, overall, the location of the hotel is perfect. It's located on one of our favourite beaches in Ibiza, Cala Tarida. Now, I always find that beaches in Ibiza, they're either really, really nice or really, really bad. Cala Tarida is a pure white sand beach. It's a nice, well, it's not a small cove, but it's quite a big cove. You have Cotton Beach Club up on one end, and you have some lovely restaurants which we went to that are just like as you walk down onto the beach. They're just on one on the right, one on the left, and they're so lovely. So we went for lunch in one, and then we went for dinner in another. But just that part of Ibiza is such a nice spot, and obviously having the benefit of being at that hotel, you can then go down early in the morning, which I had done on the very last day, and I had it all to myself at like 7:30 it was by that point. And I really, really recommend at least doing that once, and especially if you have kids, because they can just run away and run around, and there was nobody, not a single soul there, and compared to what it's like in the day, it's very, very busy. The hotel does have some beds on the beach, but you have to pay for them per bed, and then you pay for the parasol as well. We actually didn't use that service. When we did visit Cala Tarida beach, we just put our towels down at the very front of the sand. For us, that's easier. We've got a 2-year-old and one and a half year old and a 2.5-year-old. So for us, being right by the sea is better for us. So that's what we've done. And it's like really shallow water. There's like a diving board that you can dive off. There's like loads of little covey bits to explore for the kids. Like if you walk all the way around the shore, there's like little caves and stuff. It's just a really, really nice spot to be. It's like a perfect location, I would say the hotel is. And Ibiza is such a small island, you could hire a car. We didn't this time because we normally only would hire a car if we're staying in an apartment, but because we were at the hotel, we just used taxis whenever we went. It's about 25 euros to go from the hotel down to Cafe Mambo, for example, so down to San Antonio, which is the other side of the island, and that's as much as it's probably going to be to get to any part of Ibiza, or less if it's closer, because that's on the other side. What I will say is with the taxi services in Ibiza, some people were saying that the taxi services in Ibiza were really, really slow. We didn't have that problem. Our only problem was trying to book a taxi at the hotel. They really need a better service, either a service on the app that you can do it. They have a man waiting as you walk through the door, so he should be able to book a taxi for you. However, he can't. You have to queue up in the hotel reception queue, which for us, annoyingly, was when new arrivals had come. So we had to wait for all these people to check in before we could even book a taxi, and standing around with 2 young children in the heat, not only waiting for a taxi to arrive, but waiting to book a taxi. It just seemed very messy. Like, it's so easy to call a taxi, so we did try and call one ourselves, but they do come a lot quicker if the hotel arranges it for you. So let's start talking about the room. It's hard to kind of compare it to a 5-star resort, although that's what we paid, because I do think at the moment it really is a 4-star. But the rooms were cleaned every single day. We never had any problems with the rooms. The rooms were spick and span. Clean towels when we needed them, and bedding, clean bedding. The rooms, we had a family room, or was it a double room? But we had a double bed and 2 sofas which turned into beds. Well, like, yeah, you just put a sheet on them basically. And then a small balcony. Wardrobes were great sizes and you had hangers in them, so I was able to hang all my clothes up. There was lots of cupboard space. The mini bar is empty, which I think for a 5-star hotel, even to have like soft drinks in there when it's all inclusive, I think that is a given, I think, and a lot of people were saying the same thing. The minibar's empty, not even water in there. Yeah, it's just you come back to your room, you'd kind of like to have some drinks, whether it's alcoholic or non-alcoholic. So they have a mini bar, but it's empty, so we did actually go to the shop that was just around the corner, 20-minute walk, and we filled it up with our own drink. Our room was on the ground floor. It was in a really good location, and I think that's one of a lot of the bad reviews online was if you're up at the top, you're very far away. You're quite a long, I say very far, it's like a 10-minute walk, which isn't a lot, but if you do have little ones, it probably is. So we were like in the middle. We were 2-minute walk to the buffet, a 2-minute walk to the swimming pools, a couple minutes down to the beach, but it is on a hill, so just bear that in mind. Do take a pushchair if you have little ones, because both of ours went into pushchairs to go to the breakfast, to go up to the pool. There was a few days where, there was more than a few days, I think like 5 out of the 7 days, we had rubbish left outside our entrance to our room door. A little bit annoying, like it was like big boxes of rubbish as well, like black sacks, and we did actually go and say to this like reception the first time it happened, and some of it was moved, but then it was just like every day almost, so that was a little bit annoying, and that's kind of not the thing you would expect if you're paying 5-star prices. But again, that's probably down to them being understaffed, so you've kind of just got to roll with the punches, I guess. Another downside to the room, which again possibly could be because of COVID, there was no brochures in the room. So normally, like when you'd go on holiday, there'd be like booklets on the hotel, things to do, like what time things are on, what time the bars are open till, and there wasn't that. But that could be because of COVID. So they do obviously have the app, but like I said, the app is not very accurate. When it comes down to the amenities and what the hotel has to offer, we were really, really impressed with everything. Like, I don't think we could fault them for anything. What we didn't realise was that the kids swimming pool, they have like a swimming pool with lots of slides. That is actually in a different area completely, so you have to leave the hotel. You can either get a shuttle, which comes every 15 minutes, which takes you up to the other pool, or you can walk. We decided to walk. It is uphill, and it's about a 5 to 8 minute walk uphill, but you get there and it's kind of like up at the top, and then the TUI resort is down here. So like, it's very, very windy up there. We spent 1 day up there. It's the pool that has all the kids slides, and they do have a buffet restaurant up there as well, where you can get like ice creams and lunch. They have sunbeds up there, and it is really lovely. I just think our children were a bit too small. There was lots of like those squirty water things, what are they called, like sprays, lots of the water sprays going everywhere, and with the wind it just made it very cold. And I remember thinking to Adam, oh, it's really chilly up here, like it's really windy, and thinking that the whole resort would be like that, but it isn't. The only downside to that pool with all the slides is that it's actually round, so you kind of can't just sit back and let your kids go off and play, depending on their ages. For us, we had to keep like walking around with them, and because if they were on the other side, you couldn't see what was going on. Our kids didn't use the slides either because of how much sprays there were, and they're so little, they just didn't really enjoy it. The pool was also colder up there, so what we done after that, we then the next day went to the main pool, which has a bar. I think it's called the bar pool, pool bar. So that has one big swimming pool, and then it has a big children's pool, and that was so nice, and that to us really felt like a really nice holiday location. It was warm, no wind whatsoever, the water was nice, the kids just played in and out all day, they were allowed floats. The kids pool, the only downside to that, the one with the slides, was it was a bit cold for us, but that is just a personal preference. I'm sure if you've got like 10-year-olds that are like running around enjoying the slides, and you know, they're gonna absolutely love it. But for us, we prefer to be like down by the main pool with the bar, and it just had more of like a holiday vibe to it. The biggest letdown I think this hotel offered or didn't offer was the entertainment at night time. When we've gone away to all-inclusives before, like I've been away as a child with my family before as well, so I kind of expected it, and Egypt was the same. Discos every single night, and that was not on offer at all. They had a small entertainment thing that was on for the kids, and that was, I think it started at like 6 o'clock. We always missed it because we normally go for dinner at 6. We caught the end of it a few times, and it was like a man with puppets, and it just wasn't very entertaining. They would like tell stories. I personally didn't really rate it, and I think it wasn't very fun for the kids, not really. They were up on stage and the kids were like on like behind like a fence, and it just wasn't very interacting really, I don't think. Like what kids love is dancing and disco and music, and they had nothing like that. We had a few silent discos, but the whole patio area was covered with tables and chairs, so there was nowhere for you to kind of let the kids dance. And again, I think that might be because of COVID. I think like the restrictions were like no dancing. So maybe if you've ever been to this hotel, you can give us an insight on in the comments below on what the entertainment is like. So that was a real downfall for me, for the entertainment. That was, I think, the biggest disappointment of the hotel. But like I said, towards the end of the holiday, on day 6, they did have singers in. They had like 3 men singing up on the stage, which the kids ended up making a little dance stage like on the corner of the stage, not on the corner of the stage, but on the corner in between the stage on the floor. All the kids, they did actually get told not to do that. A member of staff come over and said like, you can't do that, which was a little bit disheartening because it was the most fun all of us saw the kids having in the evening. It was just so fun, and then the kids ended up on stage, and like it was just the best night. So yeah, maybe like before booking, check with your TUI rep and just ask like, you know, what is the entertainment like? Is there going to be entertainment? The app said that there would be entertainment on most nights, and that didn't go ahead. So really disheartening, but the daytimes made up for it. We kind of just made the most of what we had. Like kids all got together, they played Duck Duck Goose, and they played in the trees like on the side of the thing, and like they made their own entertainment. The main pool, which is where we stayed at almost every day, was so beautiful. I've touched base on that already, so I won't go into that again too much. They also have the adults only pool, which looks divine. They've got like beds with your in the water, beds out of the water, like right by it, so like you can lie on a bed and have your feet like hanging in the water. It just looks divine. We obviously didn't get to use that, but it looked really nice. There is a doctor on site, and there is one shop on site. The shop sells things like inflatables, armbands, toys for around the pool. You can get Pringles in there, you can get Milka chocolate bars, you can get cans of Coke and soft drinks. Crisps wise, like they don't have like a huge selection. It's just like a few selections of snacks. It's not like a huge shop, but you can definitely get some snacks. You can get sun creams and stuff there as well if you run out, and some souvenirs as well. But it's a very little shop, but it was, yeah, it was good. It also closes really early, so like in the evening, like you can't go there to get a soft drink or anything like that. And then we come on to something that I had a lot of questions about, and that was the food. So for me, I found that the buffet was pretty standard on what you would expect in a all-inclusive hotel. They had like, you go in, you have like the bread section where there is French bread, like loads of different baguettes. You've got normal bread, the little toaster where the toast takes ages to come round. They then got a kids section which has like chips every night, pizzas, chicken nuggets, chicken, pasta. That's like a whole little section for the kids. They did change it a few nights, but there was always like chips and pizza pretty much every night. And then you would have like the big buffet section, which in the morning you can get your eggs, you can get omelettes, sausages. They had like a vegetarian section. They had they done like a real Spanish few nights as well. So like they done paella some nights. I feel like the food, they catered for everything, and that's kind of what you expect in all-inclusive. I think I could not fault the food at all. Breakfasts were good as well. Like there was just so much options. Whole salad bar. You'd always have desserts as well, like ice creams they'd have like all the different flavored ice creams. They'd have sprinkles and sauces and things like that. So and then like lots of like dessert options like cakes and things like that. So I really don't think you could fault the food. I think you get a good variety. The only thing when it comes to the food is the restaurants. So you have the main buffet, which obviously you just walk into, but then they have, I think, 5 other restaurants on the hotel resort. Some are included in your all-inclusive bill and some are not. You can check this all on their website. We struggled to get booked into most of them. 2 of them were shut. The Moroccan one was shut and another one was shut while we were there. But you basically they have like a screen in reception which you go to book into any of the other restaurants. So the Sunset restaurant, the Ovo restaurant, which is a steak one, all of them, the Italian, you have to go to this screen and book in, and you can only do it the day before. So we struggled, like the only bookings we could get were like late at night, which was 9 o'clock, which is not very good. It just seemed really, really unorganized. So we made sure we got up there. Adam, on the first day, he got up there at 5:45, and there was nothing available apart from the bookings for 9 o'clock. So he booked us in at 9 o'clock to the Italian, and it just seems like a shame. Apparently they are changing that to an app thing, so you can do it from the app, but that's going to be introduced next year, I think. And another thing is, people recommend that you go to that thing in reception to book at about 4 o'clock in the day, because apparently throughout the day they release new times, whereas they tell you to go first thing in the morning as early as you can, but people were getting better bookings at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So maybe it's worth just like popping back up there and checking. But yeah, that was a big downfall. It just seems very unorganized, and yeah, it was just a real pain. Like we didn't want to get up at 5:30 and then by the end of it, that was when we had found out about the 4 o'clock thing, and it was like too late. Yeah, sorry, so for the restaurant booking, you can book 2 days in advance. So we booked 2 of the restaurants for the following 2 days. We booked the Italian at 9 o'clock, as that was the only sitting we could get. And to our very frustration, can you imagine like not eating, and the children, they had obviously had a snack, but they hadn't eaten all day. To our frustration, the Italian had no carbonara and no pizza. None. No pizza at all. An Italian restaurant. It was very frustrating. So I can't. There was like several things on the menu, but they're the 2 things that I could just remember. They basically had no pasta dishes. So they had no pasta dishes, no beef and no pizza. And when we questioned the staff, like, oh, like how is this possible? We were told to make an earlier booking, which, you know, we didn't get a choice. That was what was left, considering we booked that at 5:45 2 days before. Very, very frustrating, and just, oh, it's just, and then obviously the buffet is then closed, so you can't just go down to the buffet after and get some food. So just bear that in mind. Try and get an earlier booking, because I'm sure if you're going to an Italian with children, you don't want to be out of pizza. We also visited the Ovi restaurant, which is down on the beach, and this location is so beautiful. I would really recommend. This one is an extra cost, but I think it's really worth it to get that lovely setting, and it's a steak restaurant. The only thing I would say with this one, I didn't really rate the food, to be honest. Your steak comes out on a hot plate, and then you have 2 new potatoes next to it, and but you don't have a plate to put your steak onto, so like your steak keeps cooking. So the concept is nice, but you kind of should ask for like an extra plate or something like that. And the service was really, really slow. I realised a few days in that you also can ask for bottled Coca-Cola or Fanta, which I very much prefer. I hate things from the pump. So that was a nice thing to realise. And then when it comes down to the kids side of the hotel, obviously the downfall was that there was no entertainment, which I've already touched base on, and the downside is that the kids pool was in a separate location, which you have to either walk to or get a shuttle to. But for us, that wasn't a problem this year because we loved being around the main pool. Next time we would definitely use the kids club because that seemed just brilliant. But overall the staff was so friendly. Filming this video now, I feel like there's a few negative things, but they're not things that really bothered us as a whole. Like, we had a lovely time, we made lovely friends, the staff were really good, but I just wanted to be really in-depth with this video and kind of talk about the pros and cons. The restaurants were a pain. However, the restaurants outside of the hotel are really, really nice. We booked both, one on the right and on the left, which you'll see in my vlog, and I really recommend you doing that as well, rather than paying for the restaurants maybe in the hotel. But overall, we're going back next year with all of our wedding guests, so it couldn't have been that bad, really, could it? We just had a standard room, and you can obviously have the private pool rooms as well. But it's idyllic. It looks beautiful. Yeah, like you get, I guess now it's dropped down to a 4-star. You get what you pay for, and like the location is just perfect. That is the end of this review. I do have an Ibiza Q&A over on my Instagram if you want to go and see other questions that people asked. So I hope this was in depth. Do leave a comment if you have any other questions, but I hope that I've covered everything for you. Yeah, we had a really nice time. It's one of those things when you go all inclusive, you could be anywhere if you don't leave the resort kind of thing. But yeah, it was lovely. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!